the Advent Flame News Center. This is AFM News, the latest news from the Seventh-day Adventist World Church. Concise and credible news you can count on.
Hello and welcome to AFM News for August 22, 2020. I am Leandre Samuels. We start off with an AFM News follow-up story. The Adventist Development and Relief Agency, ADRA, delivered tons of nutritional provisions on a special humanitarian flight from Slovakia as part of its expanded emergency response to help families affected by the devastating August 4 Beirut explosion. This latest assistance is helping ADRA expand its relief operations, which has so far focused on providing emergency food, water, and essential supplies to victims and first responders since the day of the explosion. The explosion killed more than 178 people, injured at least 6,000, and left some 300,000 individuals homeless. ADRA has already launched water, sanitation, and hygiene initiatives and is coordinating joint efforts with humanitarian partners to address the needs of survivors more promptly. The relief agency plans to work with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees to assist displaced households with emergency shelter and protection assistance. At least 170,000 apartments and 150 schools, including ADRA's Learning Center for Refugee Children, were damaged by the blast. The explosion damaged at least 26 hospitals and clinics, further straining medical services for coronavirus patients and the community at large. ADRA plans to continue its COVID-19 prevention initiatives to help Lebanon cope with the health challenges of the current crisis. The number of deaths and new infections has increased since the blast. The country recorded 11,580 confirmed COVID-19 cases, with 116 deaths up to news time. ADRA says it is committed to supporting the Lebanese community through this health crisis. On August 20, 2020, the Seventh-day Adventist Church's General Conference Executive Committee met virtually to receive the name of Kaioshin Ann, the recommendation for Adventist Church's North American Division Secretary, from both the North American Division Standing Nominating Committee and Executive Committee. North American Division President G. Alexander Bryant said, Dr. Kaioshin Ann brings to the position a wealth of knowledge and experience he has garnered through various assignments. He is a humble man with a quiet spirit and a big heart for God. He has served well as the Undersecretary, but God has shaped him and called him to be the Secretary of the North American Division in these challenging and unprecedented times. Bryant, who chaired both NAD meetings, was elected to the division presidency on July 9 after serving as the NAD's Executive Secretary for 12 years. Upon learning of the decision, Dr. Ann shared, I am deeply humbled by the trust the Church has placed in me with this responsibility. I approach this new task prayerfully. I solicit your prayers for me and my family as I work, along with you all, and endeavor to carry out the mission of God in North America. Ann served as NAD's Undersecretary since February 2016. Previously, he worked at the division as an Associate Secretary from 2013 to 2016. He began his pastoral ministry in 1995 in the Potomac Conference and served there until 2001. He was then president of the Korean Churches Association in North America from 2001 to 2005. Before coming to the NAD, Ann served almost 8 years as Executive Secretary for the Illinois Conference. Ann is the first Korean Americans elected to serve as NAD Secretary. He is married to Yoo Mi Kim, and together they are parents of 2 adult children. Ann joins Bryant and NAD Treasurer Randy Robinson as the leadership team of the North American Division, a territory with more than 1.2 million members in the countries of Bermuda, Canada, Guam, Micronesia, and the United States. More than 650 Seventh-day Adventist communicators across the church in Panama took part in a special online congress to strengthen and unify their efforts to better reach viewers, readers, and listeners with a message of hope across the nation. The Communication Congress was the first of its kind organized in Panama and took place August 14 to 16, 2020. It came at a time when the church wants to ensure its pastors, communication leaders at all levels, young influencers, and creative members throughout its 600 congregations get actively involved in the mission of the church, organizers said. President of the church in Panama, Jose de Garcia, said, "We must remain connected to Jesus, connected to the spiritual nets from heaven to better preach the gospel." De Garcia challenged communicators to adopt the message of Philippians 4 verse 8, to communicate all that is right, all that is pure, all that is kind and of a good name. Themed Connections of Hope, the Congress sought to unify the communication system within the church organization, take advantage of digital resources, and provide tools to communicators and leaders, as well as strengthen the identity of the church in Panama, church leaders said. Keynote speaker, Associate Communication Director for the Adventist World Church, Pastor Sam Neves, emphasized that digital evangelism initiatives are more personalized and carry a more unique way of connecting with the audience compared to technological initiatives. The online congress included half a dozen plenary presentation sessions and a dozen seminars taught by leaders from the Adventist World Church, the Inter-American Division, and Panama Union. Seminar topics included cinematography, streaming for storytelling and script writing, podcasting, corporate image, media relations, news writing, and photojournalism, producing for Hope Channel and digital strategies, among others. Registered attendees received an initial certification for taking part in the online presentations and seminars. The Online Communication Congress had as its main objective to create urgency among the membership on collaborating together in the task of sharing hope. Treasurer of the church in Panama and the main organizer of the event, Jose Smith, said, "We must unite and put to work all available resources God has given us so that the work of the gospel can be finished here in Panama." Church leaders plan to continue training and work to create more content and programs in various formats, enlisting hundreds of digital evangelists and creative disciples to share hope in the nation in the coming weeks and months. And finally this week, officials of Montemarilus University welcome more than 2,400 students, a record enrollment, to the new school year on August 11. The university, which is directly overseen by the Inter-American Division of Seventh-day Adventists, will be running fully online with distance learning throughout the first semester, in accordance with recommendations and guidelines set by the government of Mexico due to the coronavirus pandemic. President of the Church in Inter-America, Pastor Ellie Henry, highlighted the work of the institution's administration in providing the conditions so that, given the reality of these times, the institution continues to move forward in the fulfillment of the mission. Henry said, "The knowledge imparted by Montemarilus University goes beyond what can be acquired in a classroom or through a screen. It is the preparation to face the challenges of the present world in a victorious way and the world to come." In his keynote message to students and faculty, President of Montemarilus University, Ismael Castillo, reviewed the promises found in the Book of Revelation and which are upheld by the university. He said, "This institution is an Adventist institution, which in its name declares that we are waiting for Christ, and we must never lose sight of the fact that the total solution to the problems of this world is for Christ to come." He continued by saying, "Let's cheer up, dear students. The final triumph is assured." To learn more about Montemarilus University's, its programs and initiatives, visit um.edu.ph. MX.
God wants you to have abundant life. Here's this week's health and wellness tip.
And on this week's health and wellness tip, eat 2 cloves of garlic daily for improved muscle benefits. Eating garlic has been shown to improve muscle recovery and performance. It has also proven to help with arthritis and help protect against viruses, bacteria, and parasites. Garlic also prevents against many other diseases and helps slow the spread of cancer. And that wraps up AFM News this week. Recapping this week's top news story. Montemarilus University begins semester online with a record high enrollment. On behalf of all of us here at Advent Flame Media, I am Leondre Samuels. See you next week.
This was AFM News. Concise and credible news you can count on. A production of Advent Flame Media. Sharing hope. Changing lives.